Proper bench press unrack height. It's a real thing. And surprisingly, we see this so commonly on videos from pretty high-level lifters to novices. Most importantly, for any novice or beginner, we really want to make sure that your rack is set up for proper height. This is also true for the squat. You could carry this same lesson right over to the squat. Let's say you studied the bench press for a while. You'll learn the difference between retraction and depression, all these things that are a big topic. You followed our 5-step setup to the bench press. But if this is missed, you'll forever be battling potential shoulder pain and being pulled right out of position. So what this looks like in the real world. Let's say you have this nice setup, you get all there, you're tight, and then to bring the bar out, I actually have to pick my shoulders up off and then pull them back down. You can imagine if this is with a heavier load, as soon as my shoulders come way forward, it's going to be hard for me to pull them together. The more weight, the more sweat and or chalk. You can imagine my shoulder blades here, as soon as they slide out, there's a bunch of weight pushing down. It's going to be really hard for me to get proper retraction and, most importantly in our conversation, depression. So if you find that you have to actually pick your bar up out of the rack, it is simply too high. I would much rather see a lower rack setup for all of my lifters, including squats. We don't want you to get up on your tippy toes to get it out and try to get set. The heavier it is, the more dangerous that is. However, it's very, very important to note that things can be too low as well. Now, not all racks are going to accommodate wonderful spacing like this. If you're blessed to be in a rack like this that's numbered, or a combo rack at a gym that already has numbers, pay attention to those numbers. Write it down in your training journal, put a note in your phone, whatever the case may be, so I can get under the bar. Notice how my shoulder never fully comes up and out. Barely out of the rack, can bring the bar out, fully engage my triceps. It can clear when I'm in a retracted and depressed position. This should be your gauge. If you bring your bar out and bench press, retracted, depressed, your proper setup, can you clear the rack? We also don't want to be down here and have to pick the bar up to put it away on our last rep. That's doing a lot of added wear and tear on your shoulder. And most importantly, for novice lifters, even if you're not lifting super heavy, you're creating a really bad movement pattern. Potential deviations in position just because the rack is not set up for you. So let's fast forward. We're now playing with specialty bars. Cadillac bar, Duffin bar, Swiss press bar, whatever the case may be. Different bars have different unrack heights. So if you use my magic trick and write it down, or if you're in a combo, it may not always be the same if you're pressing out of a Duffin bar or a Cadillac bar. Do yourself a favor at the beginning of your bench press or your squat, make sure you can properly unrack that bar. And for heavy lifters out there, you probably already know this, but remember, just because you can unrack it with your shoes, right, on, without load on there, does not mean once you get 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 pounds, whether it's squat or bench press, doesn't mean you're gonna be able to unrack to that same height under load. Bodies compress a little bit, benches compress a little bit. If we change our shoes, things change. So do yourself a favor, set your squat height and your bench unrack height up so you can be successful and fine tune your unrack and your setup.